Yes, please, way in the back.
What was your parents' reaction throughout their whole life to the fact that they did this? Was it a high point for them? Did they regret it? Did they understand the significance of being on television in 1953? Was it just something they did that they didn't talk about much?
Being on This Is Your Life? Well, let me, usually this ties into a question on how my mother became the subject of This Is Your Life. And that was, my father was a theatrical agent, and one of his clients was Ralph Edwards. And so, typically, I don't know how many people know of this show. I don't know if this was something that was done in
Yes.
They did. Okay, in Australia. All right. So, for those of you who may not know how this worked, typically he would go into the audience and pull out a celebrity, and their life story would be told on stage. This was one of the very few instances where it wasn't a celebrity. So my father went to Ralph and said, I know that you normally do bring actors, actresses, writers, producers, people that are well known on stage. Let me tell you about Hannah's life story. And he was fascinated by it. Went to Hazel Bishop, who was one of the sponsors, and said, we need to do this. We need to tell America about what happened. It was very challenging to get that approved, both by the network as well as the sponsor. So in answer to your question, was it talked about much? My mother didn't feel uncomfortable with it, but it wasn't something that she would bring out as part of entertainment for a social night at home. It was something that was shared with the family. For example, it was a traditional thing we did at Passover at our home, in between the main meal and dessert, because she would be in the kitchen washing dishes, and it was like that lull, and we would put the reel-to-reel film on, which we were given, she was given by the show, and we would share it. But for us, that was our home movies, because we didn't have anything else. So it was very personal to us. That was a personal artifact of our past. So, yes, please.
But it seemed, as you were saying, to reflect that reticence to actually really look at the detail at that time.
And it had to be
changed.
It had to be that glossy overtone,
Yes.
because the American people were not ready yet for a Steven Spielberg Shoah situation. This is 1953, 8 years after the war. So I can appreciate that to some extent. Yes, please.
Growing up, was your mother very open about what happened to her, or did it take some time for her to talk about actually what happened?
I was very fortunate. I don't know how many children of survivors are in the audience, but typically, most, from my experiences in Los Angeles, of people that I grew up with as children of survivors, or organizations that I have been affiliated with, their parents did not choose to talk about it. My mother did, but in a very age-appropriate way. So, of course, I learned the most when their book was published in 1984.